All right, well, welcome everybody. We are going to go ahead and get started today. We are very excited to have some alumni with us today who also work for Hallow. So we will be hearing from them. My name is Christy Fleming. I'm the Director of Alumni here at Franciscan University. And a lot of what my office and our position is to engage our alumni. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, we want to be there to support you. So please feel free to reach out to our office with any needs that you have. We have a job board, we have a mentoring platform, we have regional events and ways for you to get connected with alumni regionally. So we would love to support you and help you in whatever way you need. So please feel free to reach out at any time. So again, I am very excited that we are able to welcome our fellow alumni and Hallow the employees with us today. So we have Jacob and Annie, and if you've joined us before, you know who Annie is. Annie is on our alumni board. She's the president of our alumni board. She is originally from Hollidaysburg, and she graduated in 2017 from Franciscan with her bachelor's in philosophy. Annie began her career as a lobbyist on Capitol Hill on behalf of the Christian Medical Association. She then made a career shift to the world of staffing and recruiting. And for the past 2.5 years, Annie has been with Hallow, helping to grow their B2B sales department with a focus on partnering with colleges and universities in the Northeast region. So she's been influential in helping Franciscan and other universities to adopt Hallow. We also have Jacob with us, and Jacob is a graduate of Franciscan twice over, in 2009 with his bachelor's and in 2022 with his master's. Jacob began his career working in campus ministry at West Virginia University, and in 2016 was hired by Chris Stefanik and Archbishop Chaput to direct and renew the Youth and Young Adult Office for the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. Jacob now works for Hallow, building the communities of prayer on college campuses, and also runs Dropout, which is a media initiative to speak about Jesus in a language the religiously unaffiliated can hear. So today we're excited to hear more about what Hallow has to offer and how we can adopt it personally for Lent. So Annie and Jacob, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Christy.
All right, let's start it here.
I'd also like to note, if you have questions along the way, please submit them into the question and answer box, and we will leave time at the end for those.
All right, and we'll try to keep it short. Annie and I do presentations together because we work for universities, and we often say 10 minutes and we go 40. So we're trying to keep it short. So what is Hallow? All right, so it's most people know now. If you've seen the Super Bowl, you definitely know. But Hallow is a Catholic and meditation app. It was started in 2018. The backstory, I think, is really interesting. So Alex Jones, our CEO, was raised an atheist, and then went to Notre Dame, which we don't hold against him. But he was an atheist there, and the faith never really hit for him. And he graduated, went to Stanford, was doing his MBA, but really got into like Headspace, the app, and Calm. So we got into secular meditation. He even wanted to go, I think, to India to do like some meditation there, couldn't make it there. But he said once he started to meditate and really get into it, he said it was the weirdest thing. He started to get over and over images, Christian images of the cross or of Jesus. And so one day he called his campus minister, was Father Pete McCormick, and he's at Notre Dame, and he said, Father Pete, like, hey, is there an intersection between like meditation and Catholicism? Like, do Catholics meditate? And he said, Alex, what the heck? Like, did you not learn anything at Notre Dame? And he's like, apparently not. And so he introduced him. He said, try Lectio Divina. So Alex looked it up, tried it. And one day he was meditating. He opened the Bible up randomly to just random. And it was the Our Father in Matthew. And Alex started to do the Lectio. And then as he was going, the word that stood out to him was hallowed and the Our Father, and he meditated with it. And he said at that moment he experienced this peace, this joy that he's never experienced in his life. And he's a wet mess. He was just crying, and he said, "Okay, there's something to this." So we called his friends, Eric and Alessandro, and they started the app in 2018, and it's just exploded. So we have 10,000 unique sessions for prayer. And the great thing about Hallow is it's all about making prayer a habit and actually doing it. The feedback's been incredible. We were #1 app in the App Store last Lent, and we're heading that way again. We've had 400 million prayers there, just really cool stats. But the best are when we just see these testimonies come in every single day. Like, it's changed my life. I've encountered God for the first time. Actually, my wife, when I started working for Hallow, she was somebody when I've always worked in ministry, and she just said, "Jacob, God does not speak to me the way he speaks to you." And I was like, "I don't think that's theologically correct." But she's like, "It just doesn't work." And so when I started working for Hallow, I introduced her to the daily gospel. And it just completely changed her prayer life. Now she tells me, like, she's like, "You want to hear what God said to me today?" And I'm like, "Sure." And she has no theology background. And every time I'm like, wow, that is definitely from God. So our big initiative is coming up. It's Pray 40. It's Lent. It's Lent tomorrow. And this Lent is just, it's going to be incredible. So we're going to play a little trailer for what you can expect for Pray 40 starting tomorrow.
When we surrender to God, we give him access to our lives. We let go and trust in his plan for us. This is scary, yes, but it's worth it. We have to die to ourselves, but Jesus is worth dying for. There is no greater gift than what Jesus offers us: salvation, eternal life.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Jacob. I love the drama of that act. They did a good job. I feel motivated. And it's fitting that tomorrow's Ash Wednesday. So I'm just gonna dive a little bit deeper into what our Pray 40 challenge is gonna look like. So I'm gonna share my screen with you real quick. 1 second. There we go. Awesome. So as you saw, the words come up that said, "He leadeth me." So if you're unfamiliar, "He leadeth me" is a book. It's a true story. Looks like this. Some of you might be familiar with it or have been told by people, "You should read this," and it's sitting on your bedside stack of books that you should read that you haven't gotten to yet. This is a short book. It is a true story about the life of Father Walter Chiswick, specifically a period in his life where he was this young, zealous Jesuit missionary who wanted to go convert the Soviet Union. And lo and behold, they were not thrilled about that. Next slide. And they actually tortured him and then sent him to a slave labor camp with atheist criminals. And he was there for about 23 years. So it's a pretty intense circumstances, but "He Leadeth Me" is really, really special because it is the story of the spiritual journey that he went through and that learning that he had of having to surrender everything to God and learn how impoverished he truly is and in need of grace, and how he was able to maintain hope during those very, very dark circumstances, but maintain hope so much so that he ended up surviving and coming back to the States and living out the rest of his life. So it's a really incredible story. It radically changed our CEO Alex's life. It was part of his conversion story, but then also to my life as well. And so really excited that we get to share this story with the world. Here's a little mugshot photo of Father Chiswick when he was in that labor camp. And if you're unfamiliar with the way that Hallow does prayer challenges, so you saw a few familiar faces there in that ad. We have Father Mike Schmidt, Mark Wahlberg, Sister Mary Bernice, missionary of charity, who worked alongside Mother Teresa, Sister Miriam James Heidland of SALT, and if you're familiar with the Chosen TV series, Jonathan Rumi is the actor who plays Jesus, who is also a very devout Catholic. So these will be your main guides for those days, but there'll be a little sprinkling in of some other voices as well, like Jeff Cavins, Tammy Peterson, etc. And for our, big liturgical challenges, so Advent and Lent, what we really like to do is introduce different styles of prayer to you. So Hallow is mainly trying to introduce to the world meditative and contemplative prayer. So you might remember from some of your days at Franciscan in the Catechism, the 3 types of prayer: vocal, meditative, and contemplative. A lot of times we grow up memorizing a lot of vocal prayers, but not often do people sit us down and teach us Lectio Divina. I love my time at Franciscan, but even though I made use of all that was there in terms of the port, adoration, the sacraments, you might go your time there and not learn imaginative prayer or those types of things, and really learn how to incorporate it into your daily practice of prayer. And these are very special ways to pray. So for the first 2 days of the week, we will be hearing excerpts from He Leadeth Me. And this will be a very Lectio Divina style meditation where you will hear the passage twice, and then there will be times for silence for you to reflect on what stood out to you. And then that guide will chime back in and say, you're probably distracted. Let's go back to what we were thinking about, which I always find to be helpful. Wednesday, my favorite style of prayer is imaginative prayer with Sister Miriam James Heidland. So very much so, again, describing a scene that you're placing yourself in and reflecting there. Thursday will be surrender stories. So the story of Father Walter Chiswick might have seemed a little bit distant from what you're going through in your daily modern life. So these surrender stories will be really impactful because they're going to be a mixture of stories from our users. So very relatable stories of people just like you, and in moments in their lives where they learned how to surrender and the fruit that comes from doing so. But then also guests like Tammy Peterson in her recent conversion and experience with prayer, and stories from some other notable folks as well mixed in. Friday, this is one of my favorites. We did this last year as well. Mark Wahlberg will be challenging us. So Friday morning, challenges and inspiration that sound like, all right, next week, we're not going to hit our snooze button. We're going to wake up with our first alarm. So quite challenging if you're someone like me. Saturday, Sister Mary Bernice, missionary of charity, will reflect on how can we take everything that we've just prayed with this week and incorporate it into our daily life. Like, how can we live this out virtuously with our neighbors, in our families, and in our communities, and perform acts of charity and service and sacrifice for others. And then Sunday, Father Mike Schmidt, bless his heart, will be joining us again in terms of matching his homilies to the theme of course, the gospel, but also themes of surrender and perseverance and hope that we will be reflecting on all week. So we try to mix it up, have something to look forward to, but then also have a bit of a rhythm as well. So over the 40 days, you know what to expect: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that is the main cadence of it. And then all right, so I just want to announce before we're actually going to show you, Jacob's going to share a little clip that has never been heard before outside of Hallow walls of what a clip from Jonathan Rumi for one of these meditations. But before we get to that, so as Christy mentioned, we partner with universities. Franciscan was our first. They're called our champion university. And because of that, there is an exclusive benefit to Franciscan alumni. Only Franciscan alumni receive this this large of a discount and package. And so if you go to hallow.com/FUS alumni and you would like to create an account using that URL, you'll get a 90-day free trial. And then after that ends, you can either cancel your subscription if you didn't like it, or if you want to continue, you'll receive a 40% discount to our standard price. Right now, our annual cost is $69.99 for a year. So it'll be a 40% discount to that. And then if you're just already have an account and you want to, but you have the free version and you'd like to purchase a subscription, the promo code is FUS alumni. So if you're doing it that way too. So that is that. I'm going to switch the reins back over to Jacob. So that way we can hear just a short little clip so you know what to expect.
Yep. So you can see my iTunes here. So you can see. But so I grabbed this clip. It's of Jonathan Rumi's story. A lot of people know him from The Chosen, but he has a incredible backstory. The whole meditation is 13 minutes, so obviously we won't play that. So we'll just play like a minute and a half of it, and then you can tune in, pray 40. Okay, here we go.
Control of my life. But each time, he's reminded me how infinitely better it is to let him take the lead. There's one moment in my life that stands out for me in particular. For many years, I struggled as an actor professionally. I had come to LA thinking that I was following God's will for my life to pursue acting full-time. And by doing so, I would build relationships, find work, and achieve success relatively quickly. But despite my efforts, this couldn't have been farther from the truth. In fact, it was extremely difficult. Nothing was easy, and everything took time. 8 years, to be exact, with the exception of a handful of appearances in TV shows, films, and voice projects. Now, this was years before my work with Hallow. I resorted to having to find other jobs to supplement my income, including driving for...
I'm sorry, guys. I started a little late here. Sorry about that. I'm going to start right here. Ready, go.
...my life. But each time, he's reminded me how infinitely better it is to let him take the lead. And even catering jobs, none of which I'd ever done prior to arriving in Los Angeles. Those jobs kept me afloat, until they didn't. One day, without warning, the work stopped coming. I would go hours in between driving requests. The catering jobs mysteriously dried up. There seemed to be no more houses to paint. I didn't understand what was happening. It didn't seem real. I began to panic as a feeling of dread set in, which culminated one day in May when I woke up on a Saturday morning, having hit rock bottom. My bank account was $80 overdraft. I had $20 in my pocket and only enough food in the house to last me for the day. That's it. My credit cards were maxed out. I couldn't afford the rent which was coming up in a couple of weeks, and I had a mountain of bills to pay. On top of that, I was spiritually broken. I didn't know what to do at that moment other than to drop to my knees before my crucifix and pour my heart out to Jesus. I said, Lord, I don't understand what has happened. I thought I did everything I was supposed to do. I followed the rules. I made the effort. I hustled these last 8 years, but in spite of that, I wake up this morning and I'm utterly broke. But I trust you. You keep your promises. In fact, you said, "Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." You said those words. So here, I give you my burdens. If acting is what I'm supposed to be doing, You need to step in and take these obstacles out of my life right now because I've tried to do it myself and it hasn't happened. So that's it. I surrender. If that's what you've wanted from me all this time, you got it. I give it all to you. It's your problem now. You take care of it all. And I did. Right then and there, I surrendered completely. Unlike other areas of my life, I realized that I had never let God take the lead in my career. I always kept him at a distance. I had reserved my work as an actor as this place of
All right, we'll keep it there. And then you can tune in tomorrow for the rest of this story.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. And I'm about to share my screen and offer a few other suggestions for things on the app that you can explore as well. But while I'm doing that, if there's any questions about anything at all, feel free to send them our way because I'd be happy to answer them. One thing I think is just really interesting. So at the heart and mission of Hallow is just the idea of surrender. It's a part of our origin story. And if any of you are familiar with the Surrender Novena, it's one of the most popular things in the app. It's one of Jonathan's favorite prayers, something that's really meaningful to us. And if you're not familiar, it's a simple novena that says, Jesus, I surrender myself to you, take care of everything. And you just keep saying that, which is actually a very hard thing to say when you feel abandoned by God. So sometimes it's helpful to have an audio guide help say that for you when the words don't come very easily from your own stubborn mouth. So I would highly suggest that would be a good place to start. So I'm actually showing you right now the web version of the app. So you can actually, if you're just on your desktop, you can go into the app and you can go into novenas. There's the Surrender Novena right there. Jonathan was actually on The View of all places recently and shared that surrender story. And they actually shared those words of the Surrender Novena. And it was a really surreal moment to behold on television. Somebody saying the words of the Surrender Novena by, servant God, what's his name? Gondorindo. I forget. He's the author of this, is the spiritual director of Padre Pio. But very, very neat to see that on secular television. But I'll just give you a little overview. So if you're familiar with Bible in a Year and Catechism in a Year, this is a place where you can find all of that in one place to keep organized. The dailies. So this is where a lot of people spend their time. Daily Contemplation with Father Timothy Gallagher is imaginative prayer. We have Daily Reflections with Jeff Cavins and Jonathan Rumi, your daily mass readings, daily gospel, that daily Lectio Divina. There's an amazing mental health section with mental health professionals like Dr. Bob Schutz, Sister Josephine Garrett, Dr. Gary Crete, etc. All types of rosaries. And then also, and I'm not sure if it'll pop up here, but on your phone, if you type in Franciscan, see if it works on the web app. So it doesn't work on the web app, but on your phone, if you type in Franciscan, you'll actually see a curated group collection of meditations specifically for the Franciscan University community, where you can listen to Scott Hahn's voice as you fall asleep at night, if you don't find that to be too unusual, but I think it's nice. There's an athlete section where you can hear not mine, but the 2015 commencement speech for Franciscan by Lou Holtz. So this was our commencement speech in 2015 by Lou Holtz. So very exciting. If you like to work out, great running prayers. Audiobooks, so Searching for and Maintaining Peace by Father Jacques Philippe, read by Sister Miriam James Heigland. Story of a Soul, read by Sister Orion. Imitation of Christ, read by Jim Caviezel or Sister Orion. And then, of course, the sleep section. So if you have trouble falling asleep, or if your children do, I can't speak highly enough about the kids' content. Fall asleep to Liturgy of the Hours night prayer. And then music, of course, where we have Catholic Lo-Fi, provided by in-house, as well as by Matt Frad, Matt Marr, Sarah Kroger, and lots of chants. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them our way, but we really hope you take advantage of that free trial. Oh, the kids sessions for Lent. Yes. Thank you so much. So we actually have a specific challenge for kids this Lent. It's called Gifts of the Holy Spirit and the Saints. If you're familiar with the Saints Alive podcast, there's this dramatic podcast that is a theatrical performance of the lives of the saints. Very popular, very wonderful. And we actually have partnered with them. So they are helping with that kids content this Lent. And let me see if I can bring that up for you. There it is.
Annie, while you're doing that, I'll touch on
Yeah.
that. So I have 5 kids, 6 on the way, so boatload. What we do, so my oldest is 11, then it goes down about 2 years. So our kids, we tried Saints Alive with them. So we have a Beats pill and we just put it in their room and we play it. And our kids are obsessed with Saints Alive. Love it. And so they're releasing a whole new I think like 10 episodes during Lent. But they're amazing. Like my son, he's choosing Padre Pio as his confirmation saint. He's in 3rd grade, but he's telling me about the wound. And then we'll be in the car, and sometimes he's like, Dad, with John Paul II, he'll just bring up these stories, and it's all from Saints Alive, and they're just the best people.
So if you go to the kids section in the app, and this is the subscription version of the app. So with that free trial that you'll get if you use that link that Christy put in the chat, you'll get that free trial. You'll have access to everything. So if you just go to the search tab, you'll find, our kids content, our kids Lent challenge. We pair a saint with a different virtue each week. And then there are even printable coloring pages that we have as well that go with them, if you'd like those too. So we have a host of kids content that's really great. So highly suggest checking that out. Great question. Awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Annie and Jacob. I know that this has just been really fruitful for a lot of people. So we're excited to be able to offer the content to Franciscan grads, and Father Dave is on there as well. So you can hear him, correct? Talk about St.
Yes.
Francis and different meditations and reflections.
St. Francis, and then he has a daily Holy Spirit meditation coming out soon.
Ooh.
During Pentecost.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting.
Excellent. Well, this is wonderful. So thank you guys so much for sharing that with us, and we look forward to using it. So we will include this on an email to let everybody know what the promo code and the discount is. And again, just reach back out to our office if you have any questions, any needs that we can do to support you and help you. Again, we have a job board, we have mentoring opportunities, and we'd love to have you engaged in regional events or start a local chapter so that you can get engaged with local alumni. So thank you so much, Annie and Jacob. And
Thank you, Christy.
See you all next month on the second Tuesday.
Sounds good. See you then.
Thank you.
Bye.